Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hanis Hazika binti Ali, and this is my group members. We have Nur Ainil Hawa binti Mazri, Anis Shazwani binti Juraimi, and Umairah Zafirah binti Abdul Halim. Next, I will pass to Anis Shazwani for the introduction.
Okay, for the introduction for this assignment STA108. Okay, firstly, cinema is a medium combining visual, imagery, audio and storytelling, has enthralled audience worldwide for over a century. Okay, other than that, with genres spanning from Hollywood blockbuster to independent art house films, cinema caters to varied tastes and preference, offering drama, comedy, romance, horror, science fiction and documentary. Because we don't want that movie boards lah, like that. Okay, for gender advantage, both gender have their our own benefits, such as for women, we can finding representation and empowerment, while men explore masculinity themes and bonding opportunity. Okay, number 3, study objective. The study aim to examine or determine how age and gender influence student cinema attendance habits, seeking to uncover patterns in frequency based on this demographic factor. Okay, for the significance of this introduction, explore how age and gender impacts to the movie watching habits, offering insight crucial for marketers, filmmakers and cinematic operators. Okay, for the limitation study, may be limited by sampling bias, as the sample may not accurate represent the broader student population, potentially compromising the generalizability of findings. And second, the study exclusively focus on this factor only, but may overlook other relevant influence on movie attendance, such as socioeconomy, status, cultural background or personal preference, thus limiting the comprehensive other analysis, such as someone love this movie because of this, but someone don't like this movie because of this. So we have to accept our own opinion or someone else's opinion.
For the methodology, for the descriptions of variables, the first one we have variables of genres, and the types of variable is qualitative, and the level of measurement is nominal scale. Second one, we have genders. The types of variable is qualitative. The level of measurement is also nominal scale. The third one, we have age range of students, and the types of variable is quantitative, and the level of measurement is ordinal scale. And the last one, we have times per week go to cinema. The types of variable is also quantitative, and the level of measurement is ordinal scale. Next, we go to the graphical technique. So the first one, variable X for age and variable Y for genres, and it was for bar chart. And the second one, variable X for age and variable Y for genres, and it was for scatter plot. So we go to the numerical technique, where for the mean we have for ungrouped data, for simplified ungrouped data and group data. For ungrouped data, where n is represents the total numbers of values in the sample, and for mean simplified ungrouped data, where f is frequency, x is the value of x, and n is the sample size. And for group data, where f is a frequency and x is a midpoint and n is a sample size. We have where n is a sample size, Lm is a lower class boundary of the median class, little fm is a cumulative frequency before the median class, fm is the frequency of the median class, and c is a median class. Next we go to the range. So for the range, we have ungrouped data where largest value minus smallest value, while the group data upper boundary of higher class minus lower boundary of lowest class. Then we go to the mode. So mode, we have L mode, which lower class boundary of the model class. Then we have C, which is class size or class width. Then we have different one, where frequency of the model class minus frequency for the class before the model class. Then we have different two, where frequency of the model class minus frequency for the class after the model class. Next, we also have sample variance and sample standard deviations. For and group data for sample variance, where n is a number of observations of value in the samples, and then we have x is observations or value. Then we have the other x was the sampling. Next, for the group data, we have n is a number of observations or values in the sample. Then we also have f, which is a frequency, and then x is observations value.
Now I will explain to you about our result. Depending on the data we have collected, we have already determined the qualitative and quantitative variables depending on their characteristic. We can see that the quantitative data includes variables such as student age and how many times per week students go to the cinema. The variable gender is classified as qualitative data. With a sample size of 35 participants, we may create a bar chart such as the shown above. The bar chart shows that the graph is skewed to the left. According to this chart, the majority of respondents are 20 years old. The maximum age of participants in this study was 20 years old. This survey included 12 respondents who were 21 years old. The survey also had 10 respondents aged 90 years old. The graph also shows the mode, which is 30. We may compute and draw a box and whisker plot using the data provided to better understand the skewness of this variable. The data distribution of the variable is left skewed for females and symmetrical for males. From the box and whisker plot above, we could see that the age for females are skewed to the left and for males are symmetrical. This also implies that the mode value are greater than the mean value. The range of the variable is 2. This means the difference between the largest and smallest of age is 2. The minimum or the smallest dataset of age is 90, while the maximum or the largest dataset of age is 21. The first, second, and third quartiles are 19, 20, and 21 respectively. This implies that 25% of the respondents aged less than 21 and 75% of the respondents more than 90 years old. The second quartile will be referring to the mean since the values of it are the 50% from the overall dataset. The bar chart shows how many times per week students go to the movies: 1 to 3 times, 3 to 5 times, and 5 to 7 times. It is clear that the majority of students visit the movie 1 to 3 times. Aside from that, the average number of students who visit the cinema is between 1 to 3 times and 5 to 7 times. However, the lowest percentage of students visit the cinema is 5 to 7 times. Overall, there is a noticeable difference in the amount of students who will visit the cinema. We will now conduct a descriptive analysis for the quantitative variables of student age range and the number of times per week students visit the cinema for the respondent. This will include measure of central tendency, dispersion, location, and skewness for each variables. Regarding the first quantitative variable, which is the number of respondent students. For the variable, the mean value are 20 respondents. Based on the median, we can deduce that half of the students' age is less than 21 years old respondent, while another half of the total is more than 90 years old respondent. According to the mode, the majority of respondent is 20 years old. For this variable, the standard deviation S is 0.802 and the variance is 0.644. For the first quantitative variable, which is the times per week students go to the cinema after responding, the mean value for this variable are 1.69, and for the median, we can interpret that 50% of the respondent times per week go to cinema was less than, while the 50% As for the mode, we can interpret that most of the respondent times per week go to cinema is at 1. Standard deviation S for this variable is 0.796, while the variance is 0.634. From this value, we can imply that deviation of the data from the mean are much smaller, and the data will spread not much greater than the mean since the variance value is considerably small. Based on the respective values from the table, the regression line equation that we obtained was y equals to 13.941x plus negative 0.5626. From the scatter plot diagram, we can interpret that it is a negative linear relationship between the two variables. Furthermore, the diagram also shows that the variables have a high negative correlation, and it also has a constant variance. As for the correlation value, R is negative 0.2776. Since we have the R value, we can interpret that the variables have a high correlation or a marked relationship. It is a strong negative linear relationship between age of respondent and times per week students go to the cinema. For the coefficient determination, the value that we obtain are 0.0771. This implies that 7.71% of the total variation. For the next part, I will pass to my next member.
For conclusion, our findings on the cinema-going habits among students aged 19 to 21. First, we observe a balanced gender distribution among our respondents. However, there is a slight skew towards older students within our sample age group. Notably, the age distribution for female is skewed to the left while males is symmetrical. This indicates that the mode value is greater than the mean value for females. Moving on to cinema attendance frequency, most students attend to cinema 1 to 3 times per week. Fewer students reported going to the cinema 3 to 5 times or 5 to 7 times per week. In terms of descriptive statistic, the mean age of our respondent is 20 years. The average cinema attendant is approximately 1.69 times per week. This value will provide a baseline understanding of the typical student's age and cinema-going habits. Our correlation and regression analysis reveal a weak negative correlation between age and cinema attendance frequency. This means that as students get older, their cinema attendance slightly decreases. Specifically, age explains about 7.71% of the variation in cinema attendance. In conclusion, our study highlights important trends in cinema-going habits among students, while implications for how the cinema industry can better cater to this demographic.